Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk about the latest edition of The Flash entitled POW. And once again, it opens with, I guess you could call it a conversation between Barry and Iris, who we don't see again. So she's off in another room. He's talking to her, she's in another room. And we don't see her, and the story is that she's unwell. And I've been asking now, this is the third week in a row, where is Candace Patton? Like, she wasn't in the episode when they went away, and then 2 subsequent weeks. So has she been sick for 2 weeks? The character of Iris? I don't know, but that's what I was asking at the beginning of this episode. It moves very quickly into a vision of Nora. Barry sees Nora again, but it appears he was like dreaming it. So I guess that happened first and then the conversation. But anyway, he has a vision of Nora again. And she says, you know, the future's messed up. There's a problem. You got to fix it. The next thing we see is Barry arriving at Star Labs after having evacuated some folks from, I guess, City Hall, I thought he said. But of course, he's already got the mask off. He doesn't come in with the mask on, say a couple lines, and then drop the mask. It's already off by the time he comes to a stop and we can see him. And it drives me insane. Anyway, they're still trying to find, I guess, the Godspeeds and pin them down and figure out what they're trying to do because they're hurting the city. They've got the city all messed up, all communications in and out are blocked. So they're trying to stop whatever it is they're doing. Then we find out that Joe and the captain of the Central City Police Department did in fact survive the explosion of the car at the end of last week. And they're kind of in the woods while they're hunting down the captain's, I guess, spiritual brother, the guy she sort of grew up with or came to think of as a brother at some point in her life, even though he's not a biological brother. So that's good. Joe's not dead. The next thing we see is Barry kind of convalescing at Star Labs because I guess he got a little beat up when he confronted some Godspeeds while he was evacuating those people. And they're trying to figure out what is the connection between, they're having a conversation while he's sort of convalescing. He and I guess Caitlin or Chester or a couple of people and he are having this conversation. They're trying to figure out what the connection is between these Godspeed clones and Nora. Why does she keep showing up? And how is it related to the Godspeeds? You know, what changed in the future? They're trying to figure that out. But the next thing we know, Diggle shows up, John Diggle, who I keep reminding myself is probably going to be a Green Lantern based on what we saw at the end of the Arrow series. And I keep thinking, okay, last time we saw him on Batwoman, he didn't do the Green Lantern thing. Maybe this week. And he does show up with some tech that he demonstrates to Barry can trap the Godspeed clones, one of them anyway at a time, because it reacts in as to things that are moving. No, I guess what it is it has a reaction time of a picosecond, which apparently is faster than an attasecond, which is the speed at which Barry is able to perceive things, and an attasecond is like really fast. Now, from there, we cut over to a conversation between Esperanza and Allegra, who are still after the Mad Doctor. Now, I don't have anything against this plot in particular, nor do I have anything against the plot with Joe and trying to track down the captain's brother and all that, but like, they don't have anything to do with the Flash. So like, why do we have these plots? Like, what is it about? Why is this in there? You know, I like to see Joe. I think he's the best actor on the show. But if you can't work him into the regular plot, like, do you have to come up with this side plot? It just really, I hate it. And I don't know why we're supposed to care at all about Allegra and Esperanza. Like, who cares? I don't care. Anyway, Barry goes out and tracks down one of the Godspeeds and lures him towards this trap thing. And right at the last second, he vibrates through the ground and phases through the ground, which was awesome. so that the Godspeed will sort of not be able to stop in time because it's still chasing him, and it gets trapped in the trap. And they take him back to the underground tunnel place, and they find out that he can speak English, and he talks to Barry. And apparently, these Godspeeds that I guess stopped the other Godspeeds from the previous week that were trying to drain Barry's speed are not trying to get his speed. They want to kill, I guess, the original Godspeed, August Hart. But of course, Barry's not going to participate in that. So they basically say, well, if you're not my friend, you're my enemy. You know, if you're not with me, you're against me. And the guy somehow manages to break out. The Godspeed breaks out, and I don't know how that happened, but he destroys the device that Barry had been using to trap a Godspeed that they used to trap this one. So that's not good. Now, John is having some kind of attack periodically, like a giant headache that just hits him and basically knocks him down. And at one point, it was so bad that, and Cecile was in proximity to him, she could feel it. And she said it felt infinite. He keeps saying, oh, it's okay, it's no problem. Now I'm thinking, is that got something to do with the Green Lantern ring? I mean, I can't imagine what else it is. And the Guardians, you know, on Oa, they are kind of infinite, I guess, or in touch with infinity or something. So I wonder if that's what she's alluding to, because it has to be the Green Lantern thing, and that's the only way I can connect infiniteness to it. I don't know. Anyway, that's happening. Barry decides he's got to run into the future and go to 2049. He's got to check on Nora and see what's going on. So he tries to do that, but the Godspeeds get in his way, and they zap him with the thing, whatever it is they do. They zap him with something, and it seems like he runs right into it instead of trying to go around them. I don't know. Maybe that's not possible when you're in a time conduit, but he like runs right into it. So I don't know. But then he gets knocked out of this time conduit and runs into Dion. Dion is there, the slow force. And he starts trying to tell Dion, you've got to help me. I've got to, you know, stop these guys. They're tearing the city apart. He says, I can't go with you because I'm here doing something else. I'm protecting Iris. And we finally see Iris. And I guess she says she's been phasing in and out of time for some reason. Like, what? I don't understand that at all. Like in the comics, she dies, but she's killed by Eobard Thawne. So I don't know what that's going to do anything, but Dion has been helping her stay in the universe, in the correct timeline. So he can't leave. They have to stay together. Barry, of course, is dismayed at this, but he has to, you know, let it go that way and try to keep doing what he was doing, try to fix the situation with the Godspeeds. Now, toward that end, Diggle and Frost and Barry go out trying to take down another Godspeed, and Diggle does manage to get one down, but he had an attack at that moment, and the Godspeed almost killed him, but Frost stops him, which is good. Then for some reason, they cut over to Allegra, who decides, okay, yes, she's going to help Esperanza try to do something with the doctor, whereas before, earlier in the episode, she's like, no, I don't want to do that. I've got something else going on. And it turns out she's too late, and Esperanza dies. Now, to say that I don't care that that occurred would be putting it extremely mildly. Like, I don't care. And my feeling is, finally, they're not going to do this. Second week in a row we've had this plot, not counting the first appearance of the cousin there, Esperanza. And it's done. Thank goodness. We're not to see it anymore. Anyway, the captain's brother, it turns out, we cut back to Joe and the captain, and it turns out that the captain's brother is immortal. I don't know what that's about. And he says that the woman claiming to be the captain is not really that woman, because the real woman that was his foster sister or whatever actually died. What? I don't know what's going on there. I also don't care, but it happened in the episode. Now, the team finds this August guy, but his memory is wiped. So they can't really use him to help them take down the Godspeeds. So they're back to square one, Barry says. But I guess everybody was out of immediate danger. So Diggle says, you know, I have to go. It turns out there's something I've got to do that I've been neglecting for too long. So I've got to go take care of that, but I think you'll be okay. I know you can do this. And we, the audience, know he's talking about the Green Lantern ring. And they even flash the scene again where he picks up the ring at the end of this Arrow season 8. So the Green Lantern thing is happening, people. But we still haven't seen it. We gotta wait. Anyway, just before the episode ends, Nora shows up and she says, Dad, don't worry, everything's fine. And she tells us in the flesh, not just a vision. Mom's gonna be fine, don't worry about it. We're here to help. And he says, we? And she says, oh yeah, here's your son, Bart. So Bart Allen comes zipping in, of course, in his Impulse outfit. And we knew this was coming. So it's nice to finally see him. And they set up next week's episode, which is part 1 of a 2-week season finale, sort of two-parter. So that's what's next week. And from the preview, it looks like we're going to get some Jay Garrick Flash action. That's going to be so cool. Can't wait for next week. I'm surprised the season is ending this quickly. I think it's going to be like 18 episodes. That's kind of short, but again, this was still a COVID year at the beginning of the season when they first were shooting. So I guess it's to be understood. But anyway, that's the most recent episode of The Flash. I'll be back after next week's episode with a review. Until then, I take my leave and I say, as always, peace and long life.